Good day, my name is Christel from Frans the Klerk Independent Technical Analyst. This is our first show for 2021, and from me and Frans, we just want to wish every single one of you a blessed 2021. Murray wanted us to kick off with DRD. Many of you have been holding on and waiting to accumulate the gold shares, and I'm sure, Murray, you were probably one of them. However, there is a technical goodbye kiss that was given on this weekly graph last week on DRD that is a clear warning. Now we know a technical goodbye kiss is when an instrument, especially a candle, touches a resistance on a moving average and retraces from it. That is why it is seen as negative. In other words, there was not enough buyers to take the share price through that moving average, and therefore it is seen as a technical goodbye kiss, which means if that 40-week moving average, which is represented by that red line, waiting at 20 Rand and 11 cents, does not change into a support, this possible head and shoulder formation might be in the cards. And let's just draw in a neckline here for this head and shoulder formation. Now, a head and shoulder, double top, triple top formations are all warning formations, implying that should this neckline, waiting at around 14 Rand 62 starts to change into a resistance, the conservative target for DRD is first the length of the right or the left shoulder of my head and shoulder projected downwards, which means DRD can go back to 933 and even the full target of the head. Now we know there is a window waiting there, and that window is waiting between 1344 and that low of 1455. And the rules around windows are they always get closed, whether it takes days, months, weeks, or decades. A possible first target for DRD should the momentum to the bottom continue. However, should the share price start to consolidate above 20 Rand 11, then that means this head and shoulder formation becomes obsolete, and we can assume that the momentum to the top can continue, and this decline on that right part of the head and shoulder might become a falling channel that can even project higher levels. But 2011 has to change into a support, and then below 1462, DRD will really be a concern. Kevin wanted us to look at MTN. Many of the shares on our exchange actually during the December holidays just consolidated sideways, except for the commodities, of course. Now, MTN was one of them. If we look at MTN, we can see there is clearly a cup and handle formation, and it looks like it might be building on that second handle. More importantly, that red line, which represents the 40-week moving average, has kept and remained a support. In other words, the share continued to consolidate above it, and that is seen as positive. It means my long-term sentiment towards the share is still positive, and that 40-week moving average is waiting at 58 Rand 79. Below 58 Rand 79, the long-term sentiment will change to negative again. Where it's not an ideal place to buy. Why? My stochastic is sitting at a 59. The ideal place is when my stochastic is sitting below a 20. But if you want to play the cup and handle formation, then confirmation of the cup and handle will be above 69 Rand 90. And the formation will become obsolete. In other words, the optimism will be wiped off the table when 52.85 changes into a resistance. We've got a window there, a nice target that we can aim for, and that is waiting between 74.75 and that highest high of the candles, 72.39. A gap there for a possible target for MTN. Leslie wanted us to look at Shoprite. Also one of the shares that just consolidated sideways, a clear, almost a wait and sit and wait situation is visible on Shoprite. Now, I just want to try to get the best trend line here, trying to get as much touching points as possible, and then therefore 2, 3, 4. That looks like the better level. And again, a beautiful cup and handle formation. My 40-week moving average has remained a support, 122 Rand 28. Confirmation of the optimism or the confirmation of my formation will be on the table when 151 Rand 64 changes into a support. What is the conservative target of a cup and handle? Conservative target is the length of the cup the length of the handle projected upwards from where the formation will be confirmed, which means it can take Shoprite back to 178 Rand 30, and the full target of the formation is the cup, length of the cup, projected upwards, which means Shoprite can possibly go to 209 Rand 31. Warning will be on the table when that bottom part of my handle waiting at 124 Rand 58 starts to change into a resistance, and more importantly the whistle will blow when that 40-week moving average, which is represented by my red line waiting at 122 Rand 28, changes into a resistance. Important, Leslie, there is a window there at on Shoprite, and I'm going to zoom that in for you there. That window, or that gap, is waiting between 105 Rand and 9 cents and 109 Rand 47. That gap and the optimism and the bullish trend will remain in place as long as that window remains open. However, should the seller start to come in and take profit, it can easily be a target even for downside. So sometimes we always wish that the windows at the bottom will get closed, because then you almost know that there's no magnet there at the bottom that can pull them into that space. Stephen wanted us to look at Coronation, a share that have consolidated sideways for a very, very long time. But it looks like, Stephen, that the Coronation is building here on a possible long inverse head and shoulder. Now, an inverse head and shoulder formation is a positive formation, but optimism will only be confirmed when the neckline, which is waiting at 45 Rand and 4 cents, changes into a support. My stochastic is sitting already on a 68, which is not an ideal level to enter, but take note here that this formation started to develop in July 2019, which means it's a formation that has been building for quite a long time, so bear in mind it can also take a while for it to play out. We also know that Coronation or all the other asset managers are proxies of the market, which means if the market performs well, they should do as well, because they charge the performance fees and vice versa. The long-term sentiment towards Coronation is positive. Why? My 40-week moving average, that red line, has changed and remained a support, and that is waiting at 40 Rand 52. The optimism about this, and let me maybe draw that for you. Here's my first left shoulder, second left shoulder, third. I'm not calling that a fourth because I wanted to touch the neckline. So here starts my head touching. Right shoulder, massive right shoulder, and then a second right shoulder. So now I can confirm that should one of these, you can take the left or the right, when one of these levels of my shoulders, left or right side, starts to change into a resistance, and that is waiting at 37 Rand and 10 cents, the optimism around this inverse head and shoulder for Coronation will be off the table, because then we can assume that the momentum to the bottom can continue again. I'm just yes, there is a window there on Coronation, high above in the sky, April 2018, and that is waiting between 81 Rand and 10 cents and 81 Rand 36. A nice target for long-term investors that they can aim for a possible play on a Coronation. Marguerite wanted to look at Jubilee, and Pierre immediately answered, said, hey, stay away, be careful. And I think the reason why Pierre said that is because of a clear lamp pole formation that developed. Now, a lamp pole formation takes place when a share moves to higher levels too quickly, too fast. In other words, it's a very steep rising without a long consolidation base, almost like planting a lamp pole in the ground without digging the hole deep enough. Which means, should this lamp pole start to fall, it can come down very quickly as well, and even hurt and cause more damage than that one can expect. Now, the first, obviously, massive rising on Jubilee. The first sign of weakness on Jubilee will only be visible below last week's low, and that is waiting at 2 Rand 16. First sign of weakness will be below 260. However, it continues to reach for new levels. The momentum to the top is clearly in place. So we can maybe see a healthy pullback, and then maybe even more risings, assuming that the Rand will continue to weaken and the platinum price will rise. But below 2 Rand 60, your first sign of weakness will be in place, Obviously, it's very topish. I think also that's one of the reasons why Pierre said stay away, because we don't want to buy shares when it's that overbought on a stochastic waiting on at 88. We want to buy it when it's nicely oversold, combining it with a beautiful turnaround candle. Yes, my 40-week moving average is still in play in a support waiting at R1.33, so the momentum to the top is clear in place. Now, some of you might ask you, Chriselle, what is the possible target to the top? One, I want to try and see if we can get a window here. Doesn't look like it. So now we can maybe use Fibonacci levels to say if the momentum to the top continues, where can the share possibly go to? So if we look at and we take the earliest low, waiting there at around R1.13, and the recent high, which was last week, and that weighted as waiting at R2.94. We can see the next Fibonacci level on Jubilee is waiting at R4.08. Yes, it's not going to do that in one ride. It's probably going to pull back a little bit, rise again, but that is a possible level for 161.8% level on Jubilee that we can aim for. But you can use any support or resistance to identify weakness, and I think combine this, the next one is waiting at 227. Combine this with the platinum price and make your decision from there, Marguerite.